Greetings and blessings. I am Halim Ali, and welcome to our Tuesday Mindfulness Session. Before we get started tonight, I would first like to look at chapter 59 out of the Tao Te Ching, and it says, in caring for others and serving heaven, there is nothing like using restraint. Restraint begins with giving up one's own ideas. This depends on virtue gathered from the past. If there is a good storehouse of virtue, then nothing is impossible. If nothing is impossible, then there are no limits. If a man knows no limits, then he is fit to be a ruler. The mother principle of ruling holds good for a long time. This is called having deep roots and a firm foundation. The Tao, or the way of long life and eternal vision. So we're going to take a moment to get rooted and to connect with our breath. However you are coming tonight, come as you are. Sit in a position that is comfortable for you. I would ask that if you are sitting in a chair, then you are sitting with your feet flat on the ground, thus planting yourself firmly. And tonight is going to be part one in a 4-part series. This 4-part series is going to be around the 4 stages or the 4 levels of consciousness. The to-me consciousness, the by-me consciousness, the through-me consciousness, and the as-me consciousness. But tonight we are going to concentrate and focus on the first level of consciousness, the victim consciousness. Let us breathe in through the nose and release through the mouth as we focus our energy on the victim consciousness, the blame story, the shame story. We all have one. What is yours? What is the victim story that you are holding on to? What is the victim story that you grew up hearing? What is the victim story that is holding you back? What is the blame or shame story that is keeping you in a paralytic, cathartic, calcified state of being? This is where we look at our blame story, our shame story, our victim story. The first level of consciousness, the victim consciousness, the to-me consciousness. When we are in this state of consciousness, we are living in a state of constant resistance and toxic fear. When you live in a state of constant drama, constant defensiveness, and constant scarcity, resistance and toxic fear are part of your thought process when you are living in the victim consciousness. Your beliefs are rooted in thoughts that your life is being controlled by some external source. Your thought process is that your life is being controlled or regulated by something outside of yourself, rather than by self-choice or by self-responsibility. Once we take the victim consciousness and we filter it through the lens of self-choice, we filter it through the framework of self-responsibility, we now have the opportunity to give up blame, shame, and guilt permanently. How do we permanently get rid of our blame story? How do we permanently get rid of our shame story? In this first installment of this four-part series, the victim consciousness stage, we become aware of the harmful and useless thoughts, the harmful and useless blame and shame stories that we have been telling ourselves and that we have allowed to run our lives and unconsciously determine our experience and undermine our goodness. These are the stories that have been harmful and useless. Why do we hold on to them? Why do we keep bringing them into our experience? When we are in this victim consciousness, we say things like, somebody else did it to me, or someone else made me do something, or I can't do that, I am not able. We say things like, I'll never be good enough, I will never be able. We say things like, there is not enough, no one will ever love me. When we are in the victim consciousness, those are the things that we say. These are the statements that we make. And in the victim consciousness, we believe things like being right is the most important thing. In the victim consciousness, we believe things like there is a threat to me operating outside of myself. We believe things like safety and security come from outside of us. We believe things like the need to be in control of things that are beyond our control. When we are in this victim consciousness, we have self-defeating conversations with ourselves. When we are in this victim consciousness, this to-me consciousness, we believe that we are incapable. When we are in the victim consciousness or the to-me consciousness, we tend to lean toward behaviors where we find fault or blame on ourselves or other people. These are the behaviors. This is the way we act when we live in a state of victim consciousness. We over-rationalize situations. We become argumentative. We operate highly in fight, flight, freeze, or faint mode. We do whatever it takes to defend or guarantee the survival of our identity, even if it's not a healthy identity, even if the identity we hold on to is connected to toxic thoughts, toxic statements, and toxic behaviors. We attack the messenger when we are in the to-me consciousness. and we force everything into polarity and begin to deal with absolutes. Let's take that in for a moment. Where are we in our victim consciousness? Where are we in our blame and or shame story? Now I want us to take a moment to envision our greatest and our biggest blame and victim story. Let's take a moment to envision and become mindful and aware of our greatest, our biggest blame or shame story. Remembering that your victim story or your blame or shame story is a belief. And as you believe, so be it done unto you. But once we are able to see it and are able to identify our blame, our shame story, our victim story, it begins to lose its power over us. Once we can see it and identify our blame and shame story, it begins to lose its power and its hold over us. And we are not here to exchange one victim story with another or exchange one form of distress for another. In this space, I beckon you to look at the cause. Now let us take our victim and our blame story and travel into the realm of forgiveness. Let us center ourselves and truly connect with the breath here as we take our victim story and we carry it with us into a realm and a space of self-forgiveness, as we take it into a space of forgiving others. And this is where we're going to be mindful, and we're going to take a few deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, seeing our victim story, breathing in through the nose and releasing through the mouth, allowing your muscles to relax, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, allowing your mouth to relax, your jawbone, your neck, your shoulders, and lastly, allowing your heart to soften until you feel you are receptive. Allowing your heart to soften until you feel you are receptive. And once you are centered and you are connected to your breath, I would ask that you repeat these words silently. Anyone that I need to forgive, come into my awareness now. Anyone that I need to forgive, come into my awareness now. Anyone who I feel has hurt, harmed, or endangered me, I invite you to come into my awareness now. Anyone who I feel has hurt, harmed, or endangered me, I invite you to come into my awareness now. And here I'd like for us to be mindful of who emerges. See the person or the people. Feel their presence, being here with you now, being in front of you. Feel it in your heart center. And with all the courage and soul you can muster, I would like you to silently repeat and say to them, what you did or what you did not do cannot determine my destiny. I forgive you and I set you free. I acknowledge the fact that you are doing the best you can, and I honor you in your process of unfoldment. And as we say these words, allow yourself to really mean it. Allow yourself to really feel it. Allow yourself to really become free. And we say, what you did or what you did not do cannot determine my destiny. I forgive you and I set you free. I acknowledge the fact that you are doing the best you can do, and I honor you in your process of unfoldment. You are free and I am free. And to the Most High be the glory. This is where we release our victim story forever, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we release our blame and our shame story and our guilt. This is where we forgive ourselves. This is where we forgive ourselves. And we set ourselves free of any blame, of any shame, of any guilt, of any future harm, from toxic emotions. This is where we set ourselves free from childhood trauma. This is where we set ourselves free from resentment, ambiguous loss. This is where we set ourselves free, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And we repeat again, what you did or what you did not do cannot determine my destiny. I forgive you and I set you free. I acknowledge the fact that you are doing the best you can, and I honor you in your process of unfoldment. You are free and I am free. And to the Most High be the glory. Breathing in through our nose and holding the breath. And release through our mouths. Breathing in through our nose and holding the breath. And breathing out through our mouths. Knowing that hate and resentment is much too heavy, a burden to bear. So we set these things down knowing that comparing ourselves to others, or living in the past, living in a narrative, in a story that no longer represents who we are, is too great a burden to bear. And I would ask at this moment you give yourself permission to feel two things. I would ask that in this moment you give yourself permission to feel two things. One, I ask that you feel that forgiveness is happening. That your blame story, I want you to feel that it is over. That shame story, that victim story, I want you to feel as though it is gone forever and we are going to leave it here for the universe to sort through, for the cosmos to deal with. It is no longer your burden to bear. And the second thing I would ask that you feel in this moment, the second thing that I would ask for you to feel in this space is that no thing or no one can determine the course of your life. What does that feel like to know that? That no thing, no persons, no individual, no one can determine the course of your life or the course of your destiny. Once we put down our blame story and our victim story, we become free to control our own lives. We become free to control our own air. We become free to treat others as we wish to be treated. We become free to dream. We become free to smile. We become free to be our authentic, noble selves. Let us breathe in that level of feeling and that level of freedom for a moment. Breathing in through our nose, still and always connecting with the breath. And releasing through our mouth. Breathing in through our nose. And releasing through our mouths. Breathing in through our nose. And breathing out through our mouths. Let us breathe in this new version of ourselves. Let us breathe in a new story. Let us breathe in a new courage. Let us breathe in a new power. Let us breathe in a new sense of self. And let us breathe in a new sense of reverence in which we owe unto our Creator. My name is Halim Ali, and This is part one in our four-part series around the four levels of consciousness. Tuesday night, mindfulness with From the Heart. Thank you for joining us. May you be protected, and may you become everything you seek.